Now at 5, the latest on an impeachment trial for the Carthage mayor. Plus, the citizens' campaign to save Joplin's historic Memorial Hall. And
revving up the youth vote, I'm Natalie Brand in Philadelphia with a look at how college students are mobilizing ahead of Election Day.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An impeachment trial for the Carthage mayor is now underway. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. After months of postponement, Mayor Dan Rives' impeachment trial began around 3 this afternoon. The Carthage City Council had filed the articles of impeachment, accusing Rives of violating his oath of office and failing to fulfill his duties as mayor. The city and mayor have been presenting their arguments. We do have a reporter at that hearing and that trial. Watch for updates on KOAM News and on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Community members in Joplin are coming together in an effort to save the historic Memorial Hall. The building was constructed in 1925 as a memorial for World War I veterans and has been used as a community space and venue for decades. A partial roof collapse in June of 2020 closed the building. Since then, its future has been uncertain. But earlier this year, the city council members voted in favor of demolishing the facility. Some community members have started a Save Memorial Hall campaign to encourage the city council to consider options other than demolition of that historic site.
People have this idea that the building is ready to fall down, and it's not ready to fall down. And a lot of the issues that it has that are cited have been worked on and either repaired or repaired enough to where further damage isn't happening. I mean, if the building was getting ready to fall down, I don't think the city would be storing as much stuff in it.
According to officials, demolition would cost roughly $5 million, while repairs and renovations would be closer to $37 million. 2 years ago, a majority of Joplin voters said no to a bond issue that would have funded renovations for Memorial Hall. Pittsburgh State University is getting $5 million courtesy of Uncle Sam. The federal grants are to improve and update scientific equipment in the chemistry and physics labs. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran had supported the funding and was on the campus today for the announcement.
When it comes to this project and the projects that are exemplified in the photos today, in many instances, Pittsburgh State is out front developing their own plan. And that's the right thing to do. Sure, look around and see what else others are doing, but design a program that benefits your students, your region, your community.
The university says the school wants to stay on the industry edge, so the students will be prepared to walk from the classroom to work upon graduation. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, another warm and very windy day for us today. Winds gusting 40 upwards to 50 miles per hour. And we do have a severe threat. This is going to be tomorrow evening, but a pretty good threat. A level 3 out of 5 on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side, 2 out of 5 once you get into southwest Missouri and northwest Arkansas. Timing 4 p.m. to midnight, main threats hail and wind, but I am going to elevate tornado threat as we go through the evening hours. So a lot to watch over the next 24 hours. Most of us right now sitting into lower 80s across the region, even mid 80s. Once you get into our western counties, we'll slide back through the 70s, eventually near 70 later on tonight. A lot of mid and upper level clouds streaming through, but we'll stay dry as we go through the evening hours. And of course, we'll talk more about those thunderstorms here in a bit.
See you soon. With Election Day 1 week away, Vice President Kamala Harris is set to give her closing argument speech on the Ellipse this evening. It's the same spot where former President Donald Trump made his January 6th speech before the riot at the Capitol. Trump held a news conference today ahead of another trip to Allentown, Pennsylvania, home of a sizable Puerto Rican community. His visit comes as his campaign faces some criticism for a joke a comedian made at Sunday's Madison Square Garden rally, calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Trump did not address that controversy. Vice President Kamala Harris's team launched a back-to-school campaign to try to reach voters across 150 campuses in battleground states, as young voters remain a huge focus for her campaign. Former President Trump tried to rally young Republicans with a visit to Penn State this past weekend. Natalie Brand has a look at how the youth vote could play a pivotal role this year.
From the coach turned running mates pep talk
Our job is to make sure we're getting folks to the polls.
to the vice president on social media.
Your generation is killing it.
The Harris campaign is looking to turn young people's clicks into votes.
There is a lot of palpable excitement. I think having this candidate that's a lot younger is really exciting to people. She cares about the issues that we care about.
Leaders of Penn Democrats are making the pitch to students voting in their first presidential election.
We're doing everything that we can to mobilize young voters and show them how important this is, help them realize that this is an election that they want to be a part of.
We're really trying to grow our TikTok. We found that that's a really effective way to meet students where they are.
College Republicans at the University of Pennsylvania describe their outreach as more word of mouth.
I would definitely say there's a quiet enthusiasm. Back to that point about Republicans being afraid to voice their issues.
And say they're supporting Trump based on his record and policies.
I don't love his personality. I would never want him to be my friend or like a father figure or a mentor or anything like that. But he's going to be, it's him or Harris for president.
I see my vote for Trump really a vote for my children, a caring for my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, generations of what I want America to look like.
The young Republicans say their top issues include the economy, immigration, and foreign policy.
I would like to see an end, a cessation of hostilities with regards to Israel-Hamas, with regards to Ukraine and Russia.
Student Democrats cited different priorities.
My top issues are climate change, reproductive rights, and gun control.
In CBS News polling, Vice President Harris has a sizable advantage with likely voters in Pennsylvania under the age of 30.
I completely think that college students could be the difference.
While historically younger voters turn out in lower numbers than older Americans, student leaders are hoping to make their voices heard this November. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
A poll from Harvard's Institute of Politics found that peer influence could be a key factor in youth turnout. The survey found 70% plan to vote when they believe their friends will, compared to just 35% when they think their peers will not participate. For many Gen Zers, this will be the first time they'll vote. They'll have to grapple with many of the same concerns as everyone else: cultural, economic, foreign issues. We visited Crowder College in Neosho to see what motivates some of these first-time voters.
Along with the presidential side of it is also the amendments, which I think are also really important to be thinking about, because it's not only going to affect me but everyone else.
The lottery fund, the Arkansas Lottery Fund that goes to Arkansas education, and there had been disputes about how that money wasn't really going to education. It was just going to a random account in the bank.
Crowder College also says they highly encourage students to vote, even if they have to go home to participate in absentee voting. Terry Garr, the quirky comedy actor who rose from background dancer in Elvis Presley movies to co-star of such favorites as Young Frankenstein and Tootsie, has died. Garr's publicist says Garr died of multiple sclerosis, surrounded by family and friends. Garr battled other health problems in recent years and underwent an operation in January of 2007 to repair an aneurysm. Terry Garr was 79. Women's use of cannabis while pregnant can impact cognitive development of their child, results of a new study coming up. And we look at therapies helping stroke survivors regain independence. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, using cannabis while pregnant can lead to cognitive and emotional problems in children down the line. A study published in JAMA Pediatrics found children exposed to cannabis while in the womb had more difficulty controlling their impulses, problems paying attention, and showed more aggressive behavior. Doctors say you should avoid cannabis use during pregnancy. Children with an abnormal body mass index might develop impaired lung function. A study out of Sweden found that either a BMI that's too high or too low can be linked to lung issues as children grow up. But some experts argue BMI is an inaccurate measurement of overall health. Today is World Stroke Day, raising awareness about the symptoms of stroke and supporting survivors. There are an estimated 17 million strokes worldwide each year, according to the American Stroke Association. Michael George has one survivor's story about how therapies are helping him gain more independence.
Go for this one.
It's been nearly 6 months since Walter Neff had a stroke significantly impacting his right side.
This place has helped me tremendously.
Oh, amazing.
When I came here, I could barely talk.
You couldn't sit up.
The 79-year-old receives intensive speech, occupational, and physical therapy at Phelps Hospital in Sleepy Hollow, New York.
It is exhausting. I'm thinking I can do more than this.
Walter is training for everyday tasks like going up and down stairs.
There you go.
Scoot back a little bit.
And getting in and out of the car.
Actually requires a lot of coordination. He's got to practice where to put his foot, or where to put his hands, and to gently put himself down in the chair.
Something Walter and his wife Nancy are grateful for.
Once Walter could start getting in and out of the car, then I can drive him. We can go out and eat. We can take a ride.
This machine gives Walter balance without needing a lot of input from his therapist.
It helps to promote some independence. It helps him to learn to shift his weight onto his affected side.
With the 2 therapies and speech, I've come a long way, but not back to normal. And I probably won't be. A year from now, I hope to be recovered as much as they're going to.
There you go.
It's a process.
You think you're going to be maybe better in a few months, and that's not the case. But then I see what he was and what he can do now.
They look forward to the progress Walter's making every step of the way. Michael George, CBS News.
Walter is also receiving Botox injections that can help with spasticity, where after a stroke, where the muscles become stiff or rigid. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, protection from robocalls and texts.
Plus, we have showers and thunderstorms increasing tomorrow. Details coming up. Well, it turned out to be another warm, very windy day for us today. We had winds gusting 40, 45 miles per hour at times. Those cumulus clouds popping up in the afternoon, but it looks good. Nice shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at our temps. We're way out there again. 81 in Stockton, Anderson, 80 in Bentonville. 84 in Miami. Chanute is sitting at 86. Here's 7th and Rangeline sitting at 82. Those gusts over the past hour near 40 miles per hour. If you are going to be out this evening, slide back through the 70s, eventually right around 70 degrees. But look at these strong southerly winds, sustained 20 upwards to about 25, and those gusts near 40 over the past several hours. It's going to stay windy tonight. Really, the wind's not going to come down at all. Much of the same for us tomorrow, gusts 30, 40, 45 miles per hour. Once we get our cold front through, they'll switch around out of the north. They'll usher in some cooler air, and also the winds will drop a little bit, but that's not going to be until Halloween. Looking outside, a lot of upper level clouds kind of streaming through. We're getting ready for our next storm system, which is building the western third of the country. Look at this big old trough, which is heading toward us. Quite a bit of snow in the upper elevations of the Rocky Mountains. For us, we're looking at thunderstorms. Level 3 out of 5, severe threat. This is going to be tomorrow evening. Level 2 on the Missouri and Arkansas side. Timing 4 p.m. to midnight. Main threats, hail and wind, but I'm still going to elevate a tornado threat as we get into Wednesday evening. So let me walk you through it. Tonight, clouds, windy, mild. Drop back right around 70. Spotty shower tomorrow morning, most of us dry. Once we get to mid to late afternoon, we're going to have to see if a few spotty thunderstorms can get going. If any of these can get going way ahead of the front, these will have the potential to rotate. So we're going to watch that if any of those can get going. Then we'll focus on the main line. Here's 5:30 p.m. marching in by 7 from Chanute to Fredonia and Neodesha. But remember, the sun is set by this point in time, so the atmosphere will stabilize just a bit. I do think this will be a situation where we get those bow echoes that we do sometimes get, those small spin-up tornadoes, so we need to watch that. Driving into the metro, 9:10 p.m., very loud night, very strong to severe storms. Severe weather out of here by midnight, and then most of the rain is out of here by Thursday morning, and then we cool down a little bit as we head into Halloween. How much rain could we get? With this band, we'll see where the heavier thunderstorms set up, but 1 to 2 inches likely across the region, which will put a nice little small dent into the drought. 69 to start, 77 by noon, high temp 80 degrees. Let's jump into Thursday evening. Of course, Halloween, all the storms are out of here, kind of chilly as we slide back through the 50s as we go through Thursday evening. 80 on Wednesday, 65 on Halloween. Friday looks great, 70 and nice. Rain moves back in over the weekend. We could have multiple inches of rain Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You lose an hour of sleep as well. The clocks drop back 1 hour on Saturday night. So by Sunday, even though it won't be sunny, the sun would set about 5:30.
Yeah, I don't like the end of daylight saving time, but boy, I love the prospect of more rain. We desperately need it.
We do.
In fact, we might get too much too soon, but we'll take it. Thanks. Coming up, what you should know about insurance scams involving fake accidents. Topping today's Consumer Watch, new data shows that staged car accidents intended to manipulate insurance companies are on the rise. The Insurance Information Institute analyzed data from 2022 and 2023 and found that California, New York, and Florida had the highest rates of fraudulent car accidents. It's estimated that fake car accidents cost every U.S. driver between $100 and $300 more in annual insurance premiums. New report says many phone companies are not doing enough to protect us from robocalls and texts. The Consumer Watchdog Group says more than half of them have not fulfilled all the requirements of a recent federal law. Nancy Chen shows us how they're falling short.
How about this? Your phone rings and it's a text or a call from a number that you don't recognize. Sound familiar? Experts say far too often these texts and calls are coming from scammers trying to steal your money. To make it worse, the report's author says many phone companies aren't doing enough to stop it. That includes implementing technology to prevent robo and spoof calls as mandated by the FCC. While nearly 4,000 phone companies have installed anti-robocall technology in the last 3 years, the report says only 47% of them have fully completed these measures. We reached out to the FCC, which says it's incorrect to state most providers are not complying. Many are asking for extensions, and some say they're unable to apply the blocking technology in rural areas with older infrastructure. Now, while scam calls have slightly decreased since this law took effect, the report says robo and scam texts have nearly tripled this year to 19 billion a month. The FCC only adopted its first rules focused on scam texting last year. The report's author says text can actually be more dangerous than calls, in part because it's much easier to tap on a malicious link in a text that can expose your data in seconds. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
New study shows how much money families are spending on childcare. Financial services company Bankrate reports full-time center-based childcare accounts for at least 10% of a median family's income each year. Bankrate says the average annual cost for childcare for one infant is $14,070. The report shows childcare is the second biggest expense for families across the country, behind housing. Final check of the forecast up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a behind-the-scenes look at how ballots are being printed and the measures in place to prevent tampering. Then on KOAM News at 6, more on the Citizens Group effort to save Joplin's historic Memorial Hall. Plus details of a public meeting to consider improvements along Old Route 66 and a preview of the Volleyball District Championship between Liberal and Jasper. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Some big changes brewing in the weather in the days ahead.
Yeah, tonight we stay mild and windy, but thunderstorms tomorrow, pretty good elevated severe risk as we get, let's say after 4 p.m. through about midnight. So those storms are going to pack a punch. Cooler on Halloween, another big storm system moving in for the weekend. That one's going to be a soaker, which we do need.
Yeah, we just don't need too much all at once. We don't want flooding concerns, but I guess we shouldn't complain. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. We'll see you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.